minor disturbance. It's okay, but it is not a major one. But there is minor hissing noise.
Oh.
I think it comes from Mr. PVS sir. You can mute panna sir. Let's see. I think now it is gone.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, now it's gone. Okay. The background learn some fan sound.
Yeah, now it is very clear.
Some fan sound or something. Some fan.
Yeah, some fan sound. Maybe they are sitting nearby a fan, because of which, though it is mild, but still it is an extra sound. Anyway, now it's gone. Thank you so much. Again, it is coming now. There is a lot of background noise in the last voice. So maybe you could talk from a place wherein you don't have much of background noise, please.
Akila, you can start recording now.
That's Alicia.
Okay, I'm doing
Let us wait for 2 more minutes.
Yeah, either way, no, it is 605. 605, you can start.
Okay. Sir. Let me start, sir. Good evening, all. I am Dr. Priya Vijay, Chair, CSI Chennai Chapter. I cordially welcome you all for the webinar on soft skills for interview success. On behalf of CSI Chennai Chapter, Coimbatore Chapter, ACM Chennai Chapter, and IEEE Madras Chapter, I welcome you all for this webinar. I welcome our today's speaker, Mr. R. Saravana Kumar, former Director, Cognizant Technology Solutions. I welcome all our associate partners, Mr. P. Subramani, Chair, CSI Coimbatore Chapter, Mr. Mohan, Chair, ACM Chennai Chapter, and Dr. Sakthivel, Chair, IEEE CS Madras Chapter. I also welcome all the senior members, past OBs and present OBs of all our professional societies, CSI Chennai Chapter, CSI Coimbatore Chapter, ACM Chennai Chapter, and IEEE CS Madras Chapter. I welcome all the participants who have enthusiastically registered and participated in this event. So regarding today's presentation, so we thought of kindling the life skills on knowledge of students on attending the interviews, which is a big issue nowadays, which the students face in getting success in an interview through communication skills. So we thought of arranging this soft skill, which plays an vital role in hiring decisions. So this session will help you to improve the soft skills, which increase your chance of success in getting the job, and to develop a better understanding of your strength and key selling points to tackle the interviews with confidence. And also it will provide you a best practice techniques to enable you to tackle the interviews effectively, which students can make use of effectively and to succeed in their jobs. Now I request Mr. P. Subramani to introduce the speaker and to hand over the forum to the speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening to everyone. So soft skills play a vital role in hiring decisions. It is possible to have a remarkable application and be exceptionally qualified, but still not getting a position if you lack soft skills. Research conducted by Harvard University, the Carnegie Foundation, and the Stanford Research Center has concluded that 85% of job success comes from having well-developed soft skills. Only 15% of job success comes from technical skills and knowledge, that is the hard skills. So this session would help you to improve your soft skills, thereby increasing your chances of success in getting a better job, develop a better understanding of your strengths and key selling points to tackle interviews with confidence. Apply best practice techniques to enable you to tackle interviews effectively. I am privileged to introduce the speaker for today's session, Mr. Saravana Kumar, who is ready to present this webinar on soft skill for interview success. Mr. Saravana Kumar is a social entrepreneur and has been the placement and career development consultant for Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, and previously the director of Cognizant Technology Solutions. He has 30 plus years of global and progressive leadership experience in managing large programs and engagements in various capacities for Fortune 500 companies, such as for Fortune 500 companies as IS specialist, IT manager, test manager, project manager, program manager, delivery manager, account manager, and director. He has rich experience in managing and delivering IT projects in retail, financial services, telecom, printing and publishing, manufacturing, mobility, and healthcare domains in India and USA and Canada. He holds a master's degree, MCA, from PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore, and is an active PSG Tech alumnus and Board of Studies member. He is passionate about trekking and has also trekked to the Himalayas. He has effectively conducted training on soft skills for arts and science, engineering, medical college students, and faculty. Mr. Saravana Kumar has co-authored books on information technology published by S. Chand and Company, New Delhi. He is a management committee member of RAAC ROC, that is Residents Awareness Association of Coimbatore, and has played a vital role in promoting urban forests, waste management, spreading awareness, and in providing the much needed support during natural disasters like flood and cyclone. He is an ambassador for Swachh Bharat. He has been an integral part of C4TN, that is Coimbatore for Tamil Nadu. This is a group of highly committed volunteers from 60 NGOs and organizations of Coimbatore who joined together and formed a Federation of Voluntary Association of Coimbatore and supported victims of natural disasters like Chennai flood, Kerala flood, and the Gaja cyclone. As an active social entrepreneur, he has contributed to various NGOs and social organizations like No Food Waste, AUMM Cloth Foundation, Rotary Clubs, etc., and has volunteered for Corona Relief Emergency Fund response operations, clothes donation to the needy in a dignified manner, career skills and training to the visually challenged, home quarantine wellness helpline, and differently abled vaccination helpline support. He has been associated with the Computer Society of India Coimbatore chapter for several years in various positions and currently serving as an honorary treasurer. So with this treasurer, I present before the audience Mr. Saravana Kumar. Thanks for the opportunity. Over to Mr. Saravana Kumar.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. And before I start off, I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to Computer Society of India, Chennai and Coimbatore chapters, Association for Computing Machinery, Chennai, and Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, Computer Society. So let us move on to our presentation. So our session for today is soft skills for interview success. So here, our agenda would be as follows, wherein we'll start with introduction, wherein I will talk about soft skills, how it is helpful to successfully, handle any sort of interview, and what exactly is an interview, what is expected from the interviewer's perspective, and from the client, from the applicant perspective, what all things needs to be expected, and following with misconceptions about an interview. Then we will also cover the best practices to be followed before the interview, that is while preparing for an interview, during the interview, that is while attending the interview, and closing the interview and post-interview functions as well. Then I'll also touch base upon keys to success in interviews. We'll have the summary of top interview tips, and finally we will have our Q&A session. And I would request all of you to reserve your questions for the Q&A session so that we can save our time mutually. And here, one more point which I want to highlight is that many of you have also raised some questions as part of the registration process. You have been asked to share any questions which you have for the speaker. I have addressed all of them, whatever questions have been asked. So moving on to the introduction. First of all, let us understand what exactly is soft skills. I think earlier we already got some introduction, but however, let me also re-emphasize on soft skills. Soft skills are nothing but your qualities or personal attributes which enable you to interact effectively and harmoniously with other people. And you should also understand the difference between hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are nothing but your domain expertise, what exactly you know, and what sort of knowledge you have in the chosen field of specialization. That is hard skills. Soft skills is nothing but how you act or how you react to situations like stress or It also refers to your interpersonal skills, confidence, decision making, clarity of thought, goal setting, etc. Why exactly we need soft skills? We have most of the people who are watching now are students. So although your marks, being students, although your marks always have its place in academic and career worlds, nowadays the increasing number of employers desire prospective employees with very good soft skills. And currently the environment is very much dynamic. Nobody would have dreamt that most of the things will happen online now, thanks to the pandemic situation. So in such a constantly changing environment, having soft skills is a very important and essential part, which will help you to meet the everyday challenges of our life. Today's students, you will have many jobs coming up in the course of your lives, right? But remember one thing, those new jobs will also come with associated pressures, and hence the need for flexibility and adaptability. Once you're good in soft skills, you will naturally become flexible and adaptable. According to Harvard Business School, your technical skills contributes only 15% to your success. However, soft skills contributes 85% to your success. Now moving on to, here again, I just want to cover the most important soft skill, which is communication skills. Based on the request from few of you have requested me to cover the entire session in Hindi. Few of you also requested to cover in English, but unfortunately, though this session, whatever I'm conducting now, it is supposed to be a 1 full day workshop. I have condensed it to 1.5 hours. So because of time, because of effectively managing time within 1.5 hours, it is not possible. So however, I'm covering the most important soft skill, which is communication skill, in both Hindi and Tamil as well. The rest of things will be in English, because whenever you attend an interview, you need to attend in English. I mean, I understand you might have been brought up, or you might have studied in a non-English medium environment during your school days. But however, when you're attending an interview, it is mandatory, or it is very much necessary for you to know English to communicate and to handle the interview effectively. So communication skills. What are communication skills? Communication skills, basically, it is your ability to take an idea or instructions, and convey them to your target audience. It might be one person or several people in a manner that is understandable. So whenever you tell something to people, whenever you convey a message to people, or whenever you convey instructions to people in a manner that is understandable, it's called communication skills. Interpersonal skills, however, it refers to the ability of a person to communicate, not only communicate, and also understand the team. So when you have good in interpersonals, that means that you understand the team and then you communicate. You don't just communicate. So both the above skills are important and interrelated. It doesn't matter at all how nice you are. Maybe you talk in a very sweet manner, very soft manner, very nice manner. But however, whatever instructions you are giving, if it causes confusion, then there's no point, right? Similarly, it doesn't matter how clear your instructions are. Maybe you are very clear in your instructions, but if your team members think that you are rude or cold or cruel, I don't think you will be able to succeed. Now, proceeding to 7 C's of communication. Your communication needs to be, first C refers to clarity or clear. Your communication needs to be crystal clear without any ambiguity. So, நம்ம பேசுறது, நம்ம என்ன கம்யூனிகேட் பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறோமோ அது தெளிவா இருக்கணும். இட் ஹாஸ் டு பி கிறிஸ்டல் கிளியர். அதுல குழப்பம் எதுவும் இருக்கக்கூடாது, தெளிவா இருக்கணும். இதே संचार, आपका संचार स्पष्ट होना चाहिए. Second C refers to concise. Whatever you are communicating needs to be short and sweet, and it needs to be to the point, right? So நீங்க என்ன சொல்ல வர்றீங்களோ, யார்கிட்ட சொல்ல வர்றீங்களோ, அது எழுத்து வடிவமா இருக்கலாம், இல்ல சேட் வடிவமா இருக்கலாம், எந்த வடிவமா இருந்தாலும் அது சுருக்கமா இருக்கணும். आपका संचार संक्षिप्त होना चाहिए. Third C refers to concrete. That is, whatever you are communicating needs to be firm. Your communication needs to be firm. நம்ம சொல்ல வர்றது உறுதியா இருக்கணும். எது சொல்ல வந்தாலும் சரி, அந்த சொல்ற சென்டென்ஸ் வந்து உறுதியா இருக்கணும். you need to be firm in whatever you need to communicate. आपका संचार दृढ़ होना चाहिए. And the next C is correct. Whatever we need to communicate needs to be correct in all sense. Like your communication needs to be correct with respect to, without any grammar mistakes or without any spelling mistake. So you need to ensure that before you communicate, these things are taken care. It needs to be correct. So நம்ம சொல்ல வரது சரியா இருக்கணும், எந்த விதமான பிழையும் இருக்கக்கூடாது. So आपका संचार सही होना चाहिए. Next C is coherent. What do you mean by coherent? Can anybody tell me what exactly you understand by the word coherent? Anyone, please?
Coherent is sticking together.
Yeah, together. Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, coherent is nothing but, sorry. Okay, coherent is nothing but, whenever you're communicating, it needs to have a logical sequence. For example, you're communicating steps to your team, or you are communicating the steps. Maybe your interviewer is asking a question to elaborate some steps for a process. So when you're elaborating the steps, it has to follow a logical sequence. You need to start with the first step, then second step, third step. You cannot jump from first step to third step, right? So that's what it means. So whatever you're communicating needs to be coherent. ஒட்டிணைவாக இருக்கணும். நம்ம என்ன சொல்ல வர்றோமோ, நம்ம சொல்ல வர ஸ்டெப்ஸ் வந்து ஒட்டிணைவாக இருக்கணும். आपका संचार सुसंगत होना चाहिए. And the next C is complete. Whatever you wish to communicate needs to be complete in all respects. See, if you're attending the interview, when they ask a question, you should not give a half-baked answer, right? It has to be complete in all respects. So நம்ம சொல்ல வர்றது முழுமையா இருக்கணும். आपका संचार पूर्ण होना चाहिए. The last C is courteous. மரியாதையா இருக்கணும். எப்ப நம்ம சொல்றதா இருந்தாலும், என்ன சொல்றதா இருந்தாலும் மரியாதையா இருக்கணும். In fact, I would like to recollect what I have termed a word called, golden words. I term it as golden words. The collection of words with respect. I term it as golden words, which I usually, I tell my kids and my team as well. I strongly recommend kids and the team to use golden words as and when possible. What are those golden words? Golden words are nothing but polite words. Like, you can use the word please, thank you, excuse me, sorry. These words can be used in every sentence of yours. I strongly recommend the team and even my kids to follow golden words in every sentence wherever possible. So நம்ம சொல்ல வர்றது மரியாதையா இருக்கணும். யாரா இருந்தாலும் சரி, அது வயதுல மூத்தவங்களா இருந்தாலும் சரி, இளையவங்களா இருந்தாலும் சரி, it has to be, you have to communicate with respect. மரியாதையா பேசணும் அவங்ககிட்ட. आपका संचार विनम्र होना चाहिए. Now let us continue with what exactly is an interview. And a job interview is nothing but a sort of formal meeting, wherein the applicant or the student would be asked questions to determine whether you are the best fit for the job. The purpose is actually twofold. It shows the employer that, employer or interviewer, what exactly you can do for the company, right? It also gives an opportunity for you to assess or check whether your qualification and career ambitions align with the position, because it has to align. Yeah, your career, your qualification and career ambitions both need to align with the position you are applying for. Here, your goal is to present yourself as the best candidate for the position, right? And also, you need to, during the course of the interview, you also need to learn more about the exact position, because each and every company, maybe they will be having the same terminology or same designation name, but whatever happens inside might be slightly different, varies from company to company. So you need to learn more about the position and the organization as well, and the company where you're applying and the company, right? So, and this will help you to determine whether both the position and the company are well suited for you and your career goals. Now, moving on to misconceptions. So, few of you might be having some sort of misconceptions about interviews. One is, the first misconception is possessing an impressive perfume ensures success in interviews. Not necessarily. I can get professional help in writing a resume to get best job in my area. Not true, exactly. My good looks will certainly get me the job. Not exactly true. See, having an impressive perfume, resume is fine. Yeah, having an impressive CV is fine. But having your good looks is also fine. But these are not the only a criterion which would be considered, right? So there are many other things which would be considered while you are being interviewed. So impressive resume and good looks might be important in interview, but that is not the only selection criterion. Let us remember this always. The other misconception is, I have lots of talent, I have lots of certificates in sports and extracurricular activities, so I should get the job. Not necessarily. Your talent will take you there. Maybe it will take you to the interview, you will be able to, succeed in the first round and second round, etc. But however, you will need soft skills to win in interviews, the final round I'm talking about. Most probably. Now, some places, yes, without even any sort of HRD, just by your technical skills, you might enter. But after, joining the company, you might face a lot of challenges in case if you are not good in soft skills. And the next misconception is, I'm the college topper, so I will top in all interviews. Not really. I mean, a lot of research has been done and they have found out that many toppers get rejected due to lack of communication skills or interview skills. Now let us look at the best practices to be followed before the interview, that is while preparing an interview. Number one is you need to ask in advance all the details about the format of the interview. What sort of format you are going to have. It might be screening interview. Screening interview is nothing but telephonic interview or online interview. And the other one is traditional interview, wherein it's a face-to-face interview. Panel interviews, you have a panel of people who would be interviewing you. You'll be the one person, but a huge panel of people, multiple people would be available who will be conducting the interview. That is panel interview. Group interviews, group of candidates would be interviewed at the same time. And presentation interviews, nothing but you might be given a topic and you might be requested to give a presentation based on that particular topic. And you also have the career fair interview or job fair interview, wherein multiple companies join together, they have in the same place and they conduct the interview. But here, the career fair interview alone, you will have very less time for, for proving yourself in the interview. The interview time would be very less than compared to this. But as of now, most of the places, because of the pandemic, we have only this online interview. So when you are having online interview, I would strongly recommend all of you who wants to attend an interview to attend through your desktop or laptop, not through your mobile or even tab for that matter. Because desktop and laptop, you will have better controls and it will be easier for you to, look at in a bigger screen. You will be able to look at the, interviewer. You will be able to notice his facial reactions as well in a closer manner. And it will also help the interviewer as well. And begin with the right frame of mind. See, whenever you're preparing, you have to begin with a positive mindset. So once you start preparing for an interview with a positive mindset, all the steps, whatever steps you are taking would be positive, and ultimately the result also would be positive, right? And you should never waste even a single moment after getting the call letter. The moment you get the call letter, you should start preparing. And remember one thing, neither get overexcited nor get frightened. You need to be calm while preparing for the interview. Now, continuing with the preparation for an interview, planning is very, very important. There is a saying, fail to plan is plan to fail. So let us not do it. We have to plan to succeed, right? So planning should include meticulous time schedule, wherein you can put a plan as to, okay, I have 1 week from now for the interview, what I'm going to do now, how I'm going to gather information about the company, how I'm going to gather information about the role, or how am I going to check on internet on for this particular role, what exactly is expected, and feedbacks about the company which you're applying. All these things you have to do a meticulous time schedule, and you need to plan. And you need to have private space in your home, right? Of course, your rooms, you will have a door, but ensure that if you're living in a place, you ensure that you dedicate a particular space in your home, preferably with a door for the online interview, so that you can close the door as well, because you might be sharing with others. You might not be the only person living in the house, right? House or room, wherever you are. And you also need to communicate proactively about your interview date and time to those with whom you are sharing your living space. It might be your parents or your friends or wherever you are staying. You need to inform them in advance so that you could have your online interview in a very peaceful manner and you will not have any sort of disturbances. And you also need to pay attention to your background and lighting. You need to ensure that you have an uncluttered background, and you need to identify a quiet location. And if possible, you could also add a lamp in front of you, so that your face looks bright. And however, at the same time, you need to remember one thing: it has to be outside the camera view, right? And you also need to ensure stable, high-speed internet access with antivirus. This could be plan A. You need to have plan B as well. Plan A is having an Wi-Fi at home and you're using the Wi-Fi, that's fine. But plan B would be, because you never know, you might have some issue with your bandwidth, or you might have some issue with your power supply at home. Maybe you might not have a UPS at home or the room wherever you are staying. So ensure that you have plan B. Plan B is you dedicate one data plan, a mobile with a data plan which is readily available along with you, so that in case if the internet goes off, Wi-Fi, you have any sort of issues with Wi-Fi, you can use plan B, which is your data plan. And in your timetable, you have to include what you're going to revise, where you're going to refer, etc. And you also need to allocate some time to talk to somebody who are related to that company, who are maybe working in the company or working in a similar role. And your work schedule need to include a healthy regime as well. It might be walking, jogging, swimming, etc., so that you are fit. Follow healthy diet. Especially you need to avoid eating junk food, because on your interview day, it should not happen that you have some dysentery or diarrhea, right? Because then you will not be in a position to give any sort of impressive performance. So please take care of your health as well as part of your preparation for the interview. And while preparing, as Norman Vincent Pale rightly said, any fact facing us is not as important as our attitude towards it. For that determines our success or failure. What does it mean? See, our attitude plays a very important role in success, either in interview, in your professional life or personal life. So if you have a positive attitude, the steps you take would be positive, and it will surely yield positive results as well. So let us think positive so that we get positive results. Successful interviewing begins with preparation. So as part of preparation, you need to know the company, you need to know yourself, you need to know the questions. Also, you need to prepare questions of your own. Now let us look at one by one. Knowing the company. How can you know the company? Thanks to Google, you can use Google to research about the company. You can download the annual report. You can check from the library. You can check from magazines or newspapers, online magazines, online newspapers, etc. And you can also maybe interview someone. Interview means here it refers to talking to someone and finding out how the company is. Maybe you might be knowing somebody who is already working in that particular company where you are applying. So you can talk to him or her and find out. Know thyself. What is know thyself? Every individual has their own unique characteristics, right? As Socrates rightly said, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. So you need to know your gifts and talents. You need to acknowledge your gifts and talents. You need to make sure whether you want just a job or the right job that builds up your career. As Muhammad Ali said, to be a great champion, you must strongly believe that you are the best. If you are not, pretend you are. Maybe that's why Muhammad Ali was able to win 56 times in his 21-year professional career. He was also an Olympics gold medalist. Maybe, see, the reason behind his winning 56 times in his 21-year career, maybe he strongly, believed that he is the best. And even if he's, participating in any sort of tournament wherein he is able to see someone else who is much stronger than him, but still within himself, he used to, pretend that he is the best. So naturally, he was taking all the steps needed for becoming the best. And because he was pretending and because he was taking the steps for becoming the best, he became the best. So now, continuing with a practice for a preparation of the interview, practice is very important. Practice makes perfect, right? You need to spend quality time with your well-wishers. Before actually convincing the interviewer, you could convince your well-wisher that you are the right fit for the job. So what you can do, you could tell your well-wisher, why exactly you think that you are the best person for that position, right? So once you tell your well-wisher could be your spouse or your, your parents or sister, brother, auntie, uncle, teacher, friend, whoever it may be. You tell them that you are the best, and maybe you attempt to convince them. Maybe let them play the role of the interviewer, and once convinced, you can go with the killer instinct, and till the end, until you get the job. You should positively compete with other candidates without losing even a little bit of your enthusiasm. You could also write down your answers. You can review the questions you are likely to be asked. Maybe you can review based on whatever is questions are being asked by your well-wisher, or you could also check on internet for what sort of questions could be asked, and you can also make a note of the best response that you could give. Not only the response, you should also write down the response with practical examples of your life experience. You might have faced similar thing, something similar in your lifetime, maybe in your college life, right? So you can make a note of them while preparing and practicing for the interview. And what are the keys to success in interviews? Strong work ethic, which includes professionalism, commitment, keenness, sincerity, integrity, your self-confidence, strong communication skills, motivation, initiative, evidence of leadership skills, organization skills, adaptability, flexibility, ability to work in teams, interpersonal, how do you relate well to others, quantitative analytical skills, meticulousness to details, friendliness, accessibility, tact, and diplomacy. Let me explain. So professionalism, of course, see, whenever you are in an interview, whenever you communicate, it needs to be professional, right? And commitment, commitment is nothing but a promise, right? What you say, whatever you say, you should do. Say what you do and do what you say. So honoring commitment should become an integral part of your life, not only for interview, even for your personal life and professional life as well. So honoring your commitment should become an integral part of your life. And if you do not honor your commitment, that means you lose your integrity, which is the highest layer in your life. And you should show some keenness. So in this case, for all these, attributes, what I would strongly recommend is, see, you might have held various positions while you are studying. Maybe you might have been a captain for a team, or you might have been a president for some Rotary club or from nature club, or you might have handled some complicated project. You might have solved some very complicated and time-bound problem. So all these things, when you start explaining with examples, your commitment, your keenness, your sincerity, your self-confidence. And when you explain this, communication skills, of course, will come up. And motivation, what motivated you to win, a particular game or a technical symposium you might have conducted wherein hundreds of people attended. So how you did it. So once you start explaining with examples, then it will be clearly evident to the interviewer that, you are good in all these skills.
SK, you are muted. Please unmute. You are muted. Please unmute.
I hope it's okay now. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Fine. Okay.
When it happened, I hope it happened.
Again muted. Again you are muted.
Yeah. I understand. Wow. Okay, fine. So tell me about yourself. So in this case, you need to highlight your skills. Each and every individual will have your own unique selling points, right? You could highlight those selling points. So I think we already discussed earlier about, we already discussed earlier about the, project which you handle, and, you might have handled a complicated project, or you might have been a team captain, you might have represented district level or state level. So you could highlight not only your technical skills. Of course, you need to highlight technical skills, very important, but at the same time, to ensure that your leadership, your communication, your interpersonal skills comes out, you could also talk about those stuff. When they are asking you to tell about yourself, you can say, I have studied in such a college, and these are the things, and you can highlight more about your project. And within the project, you could also highlight about what sort of value addition the project has brought in, what sort of saving that project has brought in. That savings might be in terms of, saving of dollars, or saving of time, or saving of efforts, right? So those things could easily come out when the question is asked about, tell me about yourself. And why are you applying for the job? I'm sure that all of you, like the company, and because of which you are applying for the job. So you can talk about the passion, why you are passionate about applying for the job, and then what.
Sir, you are muted again, Mr. Saravana Kumar.
Somebody is muting me. I think somebody is muting me. I'm not sure, because I'm not muting anything. It is just automatically going for mute. I'm really surprised. Okay. So thank you. I hope it doesn't get muted again. Fine. So what do you know about this job or company? You already done a research, so you know for sure, what sort of a company it is. You already, seen the muted. Wow. It's really very surprising. I don't know. Without even my doing anything, it is getting muted. Okay. Can the person who is muting not mute? Maybe one person can take ownership so that others could not mute. I don't know. Somebody is muting me. I hope he or she doesn't mute me again. Thank you in advance. So, why are you applying for the job? I talked about it. Maybe you like the company, you like the job, because of which you are applying for the job. What do you know about the company? You already done some research, and so you based on the research, you know what exactly the company is doing, who are their competitors, and etc. So you can talk about them and what are your major strengths. Every individual have our own special abilities. So you can talk about your special abilities, and when they ask about weakness. In strengths, again, you need to quantify and qualify. Whenever you are talking about your strength, you cannot say that, for example, you might be extremely good in programming, right? You cannot say that I'm a great programmer. No, you have to tell very specific instances wherein maybe you might have participated in some, competition or in some events, technology symposiums and events. You can talk about it. What sort of, project you were given, or what sort of programming question you were given, how did you handle it. So these things you could explain, and that will clearly prove that whatever you are sharing is the fact. And what is your weakness? When they ask this question, I would strongly recommend you not to share your weakness unless and until you are specifically asked for. When they specifically ask for your weakness, you have to term the weakness as your area of improvement. See, weakness is nothing but an area of improvement, right? So when they talk about weakness, you can say that my area of improvement is this. Maybe it might be your English communication. You can say that, yeah, my area of improvement is English communication. However, when you are talking about weakness, you should also explain what steps you are taking to, overcome that weakness. There's no point in just, sharing the weakness alone, right? Because the interviewer should get the confidence that, yes, you understand, you acknowledge your weakness, you acknowledge your area of improvement. At the same time, you are also taking subsequent steps to overcome that weakness. So you can say, every day I'm also going through the newspaper, I'm attending some online courses on improving my English, and these are the courses which I completed. You can say that, right? And what type of work do you like to do best? You can say, within the same company, which is related to the job that you're applying for. You can say what exact type of work you like. For example, you are an IT company and you are applying for some sort of role. So you can also say related to that. Maybe it is related to quality control. You can say that I love to do the QC. I love to do the quality control part. So depends upon what you like. You can explain the same. What are your interests outside your work? Here you can talk about your extracurricular activities, what exactly you do outside your course curriculum. It might be your nature club or Rotary club or anything for that matter. Whatever you do outside, and your social commitments, you can share your social interests and what sort of contributions you have done so far. This would really help you to succeed in the interview. What accomplishments give you the greatest satisfaction? Here you can talk about the moments wherein you were very much proud. There might have been had been a moment wherein you felt very proud of yourself, right? Maybe you cracked a very complicated problem, or you succeeded, solving something which, none of your classmates were able to solve, or you managed a huge event wherein thousands of people, hundreds of people were involved. Maybe it was an event between inter-college event, whatever it may be. That should clearly you have to give some sort of examples. You cannot just say that my greatest accomplishment was I came, we won the tournament. No. So if you have won, maybe you might have represented district level or state level or national level some event. It might be a technical event or it might be a sports event. So you have to quantify and qualify, how many people were there, what sort of challenges. So you have to tell a little bit more than just telling that this is my major accomplishment. So that wow factor should come out. How does your education or experience relate to the job? Yeah, you can also talk about, NSS, your national, if you're part of NSS, you're volunteering something, you can talk all about this, you're right. And how does your education or experience relate to the job? When they ask this question, then you have to, you have to explain about the subjects which you studied, which are related to the position which you're applying. And you can explain them how it is helping you, right? So how those subjects, those papers, whatever you studied is helping you now, right? So, and how does it relate to the job? And this will really, easily convince the interviewer. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? For this, I would strongly recommend you to not to talk about, you can talk about the designation. For example, 5 years from now, I want to become a manager. Maybe that is you want to achieve 5 years from now. But apart from, instead of emphasizing on the position or the designation, I would strongly recommend you and request you to emphasize more on the extra responsibilities you're willing to take, extra efforts you're willing to take. Maybe I'm a, individual contributor now. I want to handle a team. I want to handle a huge team. I want to, I want to bring in some value addition to the company. I want to bring in automation to the company. So next 5 years, I want to bring in automation. I want to, increase the revenue in the best possible way. So you can also explain what you have in mind, right? So these should come out instead of just telling, I want to become manager in the next 5 years. So you have to talk about the additional responsibilities you want to talk. You have to talk about the extra efforts that you would like to take, which will benefit the company and benefit the bottom line as well. I hope I'm not muted now, right? Okay. Now, moving on to keys to success, continuing with keys to success. And we were with the questions. Let us continue with the questions now. What major problems have you had to deal with recently? See here, my humble request is never ever talk ill about anything or anybody. So you might have faced some problem. Maybe you might have faced some problem at the college. So you should never say that. You should never talk about it. Never ever talk ill about anything. When they ask about problem, I would also strongly recommend you. In fact, I also tell my team to rephrase the word problem as challenge. Hello. I hope I am clear. No, I am not muted now. Yes or no? I hope I'm not muted now. Okay, I take the answer as yes. So what major problems have you had to deal with recently? You could talk about the recent, the challenge that you faced. Maybe you had a difference of opinion, or you were given a problem and you had a methodology to solve the problem, and that were different from the actual methodology. Maybe your professor might had a different perspective. But however, at the end of the conversation, you found that you agree with it and etc. So you could. I mean, I'm just giving an example. This need not be the one which you need to explain. You have to explain your own challenge that you faced recently. But at the same time, you should never ever talk ill about anything or anybody. Do you handle conflict well? Have you ever had a conflict with a boss or professor? How did you resolve it? Here again, yeah, you can talk about the situation wherein you had some challenges and you had some difference of opinions, and finally it was the issue or the challenge was ironed out. So how would you iron it out? Instead of talking something ill about anything, you have to talk a little bit in a positive way, wherein you had a challenging professor, wherein he used to give some very difficult problems to solve, and though I solved it, maybe I did my own way, but that was not right, which I didn't understand and which I understood at a later point of time. You can say that. Here I would like to recollect my personal experience. I studied in PSG College of Technology and I did my MCA 86-89 batch, and I even know that professor is there. We used to have open book tests, and she used to give a lot of problems to solve. And usually, whenever we commit any mistake, she never used to say that you are wrong. Vijay, her name is Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Pai. Okay, she never used to say that you are wrong. She will explain. She will say that this could also be done in this way. Though we are wrong, she will never say that you are wrong. She will say that this could also be done in this way, and she will explain. And at the end of the conversation, at the end of her explanation, you will clearly understand that you are wrong. So that is a wonderful way of conveying even negative things in a sort of positive way, wherein you realize things and you accept it. Otherwise, no. Initially, when somebody says that you are wrong, it is difficult to accept or agree, right? What are your goals in life? Next one. So, see, as human beings, we play multiple roles in our life. We play the role of a student, son, daughter, brother, sister, friend, spouse. Many roles we play in our life. Maybe we can identify goals for all those individual roles. What do you want to achieve in that particular role? As a son, what do you want to achieve? As a student, what do you want to achieve? As an employee, what do you want to achieve? So you can think about it. And you can also make a note of the goals that you identified in the various roles that you're playing in your life. And you could also review them periodically, maybe once in a week or once in a fortnight or once in a month or once in a quarter, depending upon your convenience. Here, from interview perspective, you have to refer to your professional goals. What sort of professional goals you have? I think we already saw that earlier. Maybe you can say, 10 years from now, I want to, handle and the entire department as such. I want to take care of the entire department. I want to bring in automation. I want to become a big entrepreneur, or I want to become a director. And here again, if you want to, for example, if you want to become an entrepreneur, or if you, in an interview, you can't say that you want to become an entrepreneur, but you can say that you want to become a director or whatever. So when you say that you want to become a you want to become a director, or you want to become the senior most position, or you want to manage the operations head for that matter. So how do you plan to achieve your goal? So you have to state what sort of plan you have, maybe a yearly plan or quarterly plan or monthly plan or fortnightly plan or weekly plan. So what sort of plans you have? So you can also explain that to the interviewer. And next question, there might be a question like, why is your CGPA not higher? Here, for heaven's sake, please don't again talk anything ill about anything or anybody. Here you cannot say that, my professor, he didn't explain properly, or, the question, there were out of syllabus questions where they are not true, right? So you have to be very frank and upfront. Maybe, as I mentioned earlier, you might have been studying in a school which is not English medium, right? It might be a different medium of instruction. So because of which, though you understood things and you were able to convey things in your own mother tongue, but unfortunately, because of this new language, English, which you came across after your school education, it was a challenge for you. But however, you can say that, right? I mean, because of that, I was not able to score marks. But however, I'm good technically, and for overcoming that, your weakness or your area of improvement, you can say what steps you have taken and what you are taking now, which will really give a lot of confidence to the employer. How has your education prepared you for your career? I think here again, you can talk about the subjects which you studied and which are related to the job that you are applying. Are you willing to travel? How much? Yes, you could very well say that, yes, I'm very much willing to travel, depending upon the business need, right? Is money important to you? Yes, money is important. However, job satisfaction and career growth is more important to me. You could say that. What kind of salary are you looking for? Here, you need not mention a number. You need not mention a particular amount as salary. Instead, what I would strongly recommend is that you can say as per industry standards, or you can say whatever salary is applicable for an engineer from a reputed institution might be applicable to me, or whatever salary is applicable for a graduate from a non-engineering college would be applicable to me, whatever, I mean, or in your field. So you can just say as per industry standards. I think that would be the best answer to start with, initial round. But at later point of time, when they actually, call you for the next round, wherein when they share the exact number and figures, then you could check with others who are in similar field or similar role, then you can decide. But initially, you need not, when they ask for what sort of salary you need not mention any number. You can just say as per industry standards. They might ask some funny questions as well. If you're an animal, which animal would you like to choose and why? If you have to die tomorrow, what would you do today? Sell this pen to me, sell this eraser to me, sell this coconut to me. How do you convince an Eskimo to buy a refrigerator? All these questions are being asked, to find out how effective are your communication skills and how effectively you are able to convince people, right? Convincing is very, very important, right? You need to convince when you're selling an idea, when you're explaining an idea, that idea should be accepted by your team, by your boss, etc. So they want to know how effective is your communication skills and your convincing skills. That's why. So if they ask you sell this pen to me, you can very well say that, yeah, this is a strong pen and it writes very smooth and the ink lasts for 1 month, more than a month, etc. You can develop your own story, but that should be good enough so that the other person is able to perceive, able to appreciate, and will also buy this pen, right? Teamwork. They might also ask you about a team project you worked on, what problems you faced, and how did you deal with them. Here you can talk about the projects that you handled, what sort of role you played, and what was the timeline. You might have had some tight schedule, what sort of challenges faced, how did you handle them. So you can quote with examples when they talk about it. And from employer perspective, say they just want to find the right person for the right job, right? Because they have spent a lot of money in the selection process and they want to take returns as well. The main concern or objective would be to have the right person for the right job. So they want to find out whether you are going to be an asset or a liability. You need to be an asset naturally, right? And you also need to prepare questions because employers assess you by your questions as much as by your answers. Let me explain. See, for example, you are applying for a job. There are 10 vacancies for the particular job, and maybe 1,000 people have applied, and 100 people would have answered all the questions correctly. So how will you differentiate? How will they be able to differentiate? And how will they be able to pick from those 100 people? 10 people they want to pick from the 100, right? How will they be able to do it? So by the questions that you ask. So you have to ask intelligent questions, sensible questions, based on whatever research you did for the company. You already did a research about the company, right? So based on whatever research you did, you have to you have to ask the questions. So intelligent questions about the position and the organization would be really appreciated by the interviewer as well. And this is a wonderful opportunity for you to separate yourself from other people who are applying for the job. Now, coming on to the most annoying mistakes, usually which are committed during online interviews. Please, when you're attending an interview, do not fiddle your phone. Do not even look at your phone. Maybe you can put in silence mode. And remember that a video interview still is a face-to-face interview, though not in person. People are not sitting in front of you, but still it is a video interview wherein the other person is able to see you, watch your expression, watch your body language, etc. Right? So you have to smile genuinely from the bottom of your heart and keep gestures to a minimum. And you should not have any sort of up and down movement or your eyes moving across the screen. And you have to maintain your eye contact. And if you have any self-use enabled in your screen, you could, hide them. Because once you have the self-use, that will be a disturbance for you, and you will concentrate only on your self-view rather than the interviewer, right? So you need to focus on whoever is talking with you. And you should never worry about the things which are not under your control. Like there might be a baby crying in your neighborhood. There might be a dog barking or howling in your neighborhood. So the sound, you're able to hear the sound. That should not worry you or that should not distract you. Just leave it. Do not worry about them and just ignore them. Because once you start ignoring, once you start worrying, that gets reflected in your face and you will not be able to, perform well in your interview. Because you are mentally sort of disturbed a little bit because of the unnecessary noise of the dog and the baby crying, etc. So, but don't worry about them at all. Don't just ignore them, because those distractions will impact your interview in a negative way. And whenever the interviewer is asking a question, instead of just giving yes or no and just answering them, you have to demonstrate yourself by giving specific examples. Otherwise, what will happen is if you are not giving any sort of examples and you're answering all the questions, fine, but you are not able to qualify your answers. In case if you are not able to demonstrate with specific examples, your interviewer will make a note stating nice person but no visible skills. So you need to explain the related events from your college or work environment where you faced a challenge and you did something smart or unusual for solving them. How can you achieve this? You can achieve this by practice. You need to practice by telling your examples before the interview, before actually the interview happens. You can make a note and you can do a dry run with yourself based on your CV updates. Here again, I should also talk about your CV or biodata. See, your biodata, when you are updating your CV, when you are updating your project, for example, okay, instead of just stating the project name alone, you have to, within a few lines, not a huge one, a small update about the project. What you need to update is the timeline about the project, what was your role in the project, and what sort of business benefit you were able to bring in to the project. That business benefit might be in terms of saving of man hours, saving of dollars, or saving of time, whatever it is. You need to quantify, qualify, and you could put it along with your project. That will really help the interviewer in acknowledging it and appreciating your project. That will also give a great impression. Also, when you're updating the CV, what I would also suggest is maybe you can look at the role. For example, you have been asked for example, software engineer. So for a software engineer role, what are all the roles and responsibilities you can check from multiple, through Google you can check, and you ensure that the keywords, certain keywords are there, which clearly reflects the roles and responsibilities of a software engineer. So ensure that those keywords which are relevant to you and which you have experience in, those keywords need to be included in your CV. Only then you might be called for the interview, because see, most of the time your CV is not read by people. It goes through an engine, a database engine, wherein the engine will pick the CV based on the keywords. So remember that you use maximum possible keywords, but those keywords should be related to whatever you have done so far, whatever you are aware of, not something else. Now, coming to the, first impression, you only have one chance to make a first impression, right? So you ensure that you make a very good first impression, because your first impression is the best impression, which is determined by your punctuality. You have to do whatever it takes to arrive much earlier, maybe at least half an hour earlier in case of face-to-face interview, because you don't know the traffic, right? So it's better to arrive early, and because late arrival for any job interview is never excusable. And for online interviews, ensure that you are able to join the video at least 5 to 10 minutes in advance. And in case if you are going for a face-to-face interview, if you're going for a company, before entering the interview hall, you could go to the restroom, make sure that your hair is combed, you freshen up yourself, and you have to look fresh and neat, right? So, and also you need to be the first person. So you might be seeing the front office team over there. When you enter a company, you see the front office team, right? When you see them, you should be the first person to greet. Maybe good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending upon the time. You can, greet them, and you can also smile. And handshake, whenever you are doing any handshake, now you cannot do because of Corona. That's different. But if at all, whenever you have the opportunity wherein the interviewer or somebody wants to handshake with you, you ensure that your handshake is firm. And body language, your body language needs to be cool and calm behavior. It needs to be cool and calm. You need to maintain eye contact as well. And please note that your appearance and your body language, the way you, way you behave, the way you talk, the way you express, even before you talk any sort of word, your appearance and your body language tells volumes about you. So remember that. It's not necessarily that only after you open your mouth, they can know about you. They will know about you. They will assess you even based on your physical appearance and, body language as well. And also when you're called for into a, small meeting room wherein you're having an interview, do not forget to ask permission to sit down. You should not sit down even before the interviewer sits down, right? So you have to ask permission and then you need to sit down. And let me also explain you about the common interview rating scale which is being used. Normally, I cannot say that this is the only one which is being used. I took the exhaustive criteria which are used during an interview. The interview rating scale might be, the rating might be between 0 and 5, wherein 0 is for no response. When you do not respond to any particular criteria, you would be given 0 as the rating. And if you respond in an extraordinary way, in a wonderful way, you will be given 5 as the rating. So the criteria might be intelligence, wherein this intelligence criteria is purely awarded based on your academic performance, your marks, and the way you answer the technical questions. Intelligence, one more criteria, wherein this the rating is provided based on the roles that you have played and the external activities that you have done. And appearance and poise is one more criteria, which is wherein the rating is given based on the first impression that you create with the interviewer. And the interpersonal relationship, this is another criteria, wherein this is purely based on the interest that you show, based on the questions they ask, how interested you are, and once you explain the team roles, based on your whatever you convey there, this interpersonal relations criteria, rating is awarded. The integrity, you should not, there should not be any sort of inconsistencies. Where whatever you put in your CV, same thing should be reflected when you talk, right? So it should not be different. So whatever you say should be the same when you are attending the interview as well. So that is integrity. So you need to sort of ensure that it is consistent across whatever you have explained, whatever you have updated the interview. It is the same stuff what you are explaining during the interview as well. Self-confidence based on the responsibility you have taken, which you explained during the course of the conversation, and the self-confidence is rated. And then communication skills, of course, based on the articulation you do, based on the coherent way in which you explain, based on your, without any grammar mistakes, or you're responsible enough. So once you're answering the questions then and there and correctly and without any grammar mistakes, etc., your communication skills is rated. And interest, this is purely based on your external interest, maybe your social interests or NSS or your involvement in them. Based on the way you explain, this is also rated. Interests criteria is rated. And leadership potential, you might have held, you might be the president of some nature club or president of some Rotary club, or you might have been a captain for a team, whatever. So this sort of roles. So based on whatever initiatives you might have taken and which you have explained to the interviewer, this leadership potential criteria would be rated. And finally, the interviewing skills, logical thinking, and how you are able to explain things in a logical manner. So this will help you in scoring good rating for your interview skills criteria. And coming to the dress code, while attending the interview, for men, if you have a necktie, you can wear one. It should be in a conservative pattern. It should not have any sort of cartoon characters in your tie. Okay, and shoes, dark shoes and dark socks are preferred, and you could get a haircut, but not on the same day of your interview. And beard, if you want to have a beard, yes, they are not recommended. But however, if you feel that yes, you need to have a beard, please have a beard, but ensure that it is neat and trimmed. And in case of mustache, you must ensure that it is neat and trimmed. And do not wear any sort of extra rings. If you are married, maybe you can have only your wedding ring. And no earrings. If you wear one, please remove it, because it will give a different impression to the interviewer. There's a possibility that, because of this reason, there's a possibility that you might get rejected. So it is recommended. I should not say that it is sort of mandatory. It is recommended. And for women, if you have a suit with jacket, you can wear it. If you usually wear a dress in a Western style, but otherwise you could also wear a simple sari or salwar, and you could avoid high heels if possible. And if you wear nail polish, no, not required. But however, if you feel that nail polish is good enough, you need to use a clear or conservative color, not dark colors for your nail polish. And minimal use of makeup, it should not be noticeable when the interviewer is seeing. You should not find out that you have one thick layer of makeup, right? So it should be minimal and it should not be noticeable, and no more than one ring on each hand possible, and one set of earrings only, not piercing your ears, half a dozen places. And interviews might not like, I should not say, again, I repeat it, it's not mandatory, but I can say the best practices which are followed. And things to avoid for both men and women, you could avoid showy displays, you can avoid your nail polish, especially, some people know they have different color for each hand or different color for each finger. So please avoid them. And once you enter the company, once you're attending the interview, please do not wear sunglasses, do not wear a cap. And it's better not to, it is advisable not to wear a new dress, because maybe in the trial room, the dress might be very much suitable and you might have felt comfortable. But in the long run, when you're wearing the dress for a long run, there's a possibility that you might have some discomfort in the dress. So it is advisable to avoid wearing a new dress on the interview day. Maybe you can wear it earlier, and so that you know that it's good and it's comfortable, and then you can wear on the interview day. And avoid using shopping bags to carry files. You can use a folder instead of shopping bags, because see, what happens is wherever you are going for interview, for example, for any company for that matter, they have their own cameras, right, inside. So you might be watched. You never know, right? So it's better to avoid these things. And also, please do not have your haircut on the interview day, because you it might look odd as well. It all depends upon the place you got your haircut, etc. So it is advisable to avoid having a close haircut on the interview day. Now let me explain how exactly you can ensure that you're able to succeed in the first 30 seconds. You have to maintain eye contact. See, the moment interview starts, from that moment onwards, you have to maintain the eye contact, and occasionally you could also nod your head, acknowledging the interviewer, agreeing with the interviewer, etc. So you cannot just keep quiet and say yes, yes. You have to, acknowledge by nodding your head in agreement if you agree, whenever you agree, and smile genuinely and show your interest in the company. And you could also lean towards the speaker. You should not, lean sort of backwards when you are attending the interview, and you could speak at a moderate rate. It should not be very, very, very fast. At the same time, it should not be very, very slow. So you have to speak at a moderate rate, and you need to use an assuring tone. By the way you talk, the confidence should get reflected in your tone. And remember that based on the research, they have found that better your appearance, the companies are willing to give more money. So because people who value their appearance, they often get promoted faster and higher. Because let us take ourselves, when you are going anywhere, maybe you're going to a bank or any other place, and if you want to get help from a team of people are sitting, and if you want to get help from them, what do? You would approach a person who is neat and tidy and who is having a, who looks fresh and who is sending positive vibes, right? Who is neat, right? You would not be willing to approach a person who looks dirty and, who is, sending negative vibes. By sending negative vibes, I mean who is showing negative expressions, who is, who doesn't look happy and who looks sad or, upset or angry, etc., right? So your positive appearance, you need to have a pleasing and positive appearance, because they seem more credible, influential, and they are also more persuasive. And the strict rules which you need to follow while attending an interview, which is listen to the question, think before you answer. You need not answer the next micro millisecond. Gather your thoughts and then answer. Frame proper sentence and answer, but this should happen within a few seconds. You should not, take a lot of time. And answer to the question only and nothing more. And what are the best strategies for responding to questions? First of all, you have to listen to the entire question. You should never, ever stop the person when the person is asking a question or person is talking something, when the interviewer is telling something. You should never, ever stop the person. Because, see, what happens, let me tell you. For example, the interviewer is telling something which you do not agree. Let us take a situation wherein the interviewer is telling something which you do not agree. In this situation, you need to have tons of patience. You need to wait for the interviewer to complete his or her sentence. Let the interviewer complete. Once the interviewer completes his or her sentence, then you can very well say, I appreciate your viewpoint, or I appreciate your perspective. However, my viewpoint is different and this is my viewpoint. By telling so, what happens is that the interviewer will listen to you. I might not agree with you, but at least he or she will listen to you. And there is a bright possibility that the interviewer might also agree to you. So you listen to the entire sentence. Whenever the interviewer is talking something or whenever the interviewer is asking a question, don't interrupt. Allow the interviewer to finish the question, and then in case if you have any sort of doubts or queries, you could raise after the interviewer finishes the particular sentence. And you should be fully aware of your body language. And as I told earlier, you need to take your time, gather your thoughts, frame positive response, and then you can tell. Instead of telling the next, instance. Of course, you have to tell at the earliest possible time, but you have to gather your thoughts, take your time, little time, and then tell the answer. You need to be positive in your responses. You need to speak clearly so that the interviewer is able to understand what you're attempting to say. You can tell a story. Here, the story doesn't refer to storybooks, stories. It refers to your own experience. Use examples wherever possible. And you could also take notes. There is no harm in it. Take notes. And during the course of the interview, whenever you want to convey about your responsibility or leadership, etc., you can use some powerful, there are powerful job interview words. Like when you want to talk about responsibility, you can talk about how you organize certain things, how effective you were with examples, not without examples, and what sort of responsibility you have taken. And when you're talking about leadership, you can talk about the initiatives that you have taken, the instances wherein you negotiated, instances wherein you supervised or managed a team. And when you're talking about passion, you can talk about the enthusiasm that you had, while handling a team, how that enthusiasm impacted the team in a positive way, what sort of interests you had, how you were able to motivate the people, how you also get motivated. So these things, I mean, these are termed as, power words or powerful job interview words, which you could use during the course of your interview when you want to, explain something. And you need to have positive self-reference. Now, avoid phrases like, I'm the only guy with 9.1 CGPA. When they ask for your CGPA, you have to tell them that my CGPA is 9.1. That's all, nothing more, right? And only discuss your strength. Whenever you are talking about yourself, you have to convey your strengths. Do not offer to share your weakness unless and until they're specifically asking for same. And whenever you are talking about your strength or whenever you're answering any question, if you're giving specific examples, you will also feel that you're not exaggerating, right? You're not bragging, you're not exaggerating, right? And you should always speak in the first person. Like you have to say, if you're happy about the work, whatever you did, if you're happy about the project, if you're happy about the, college which you study, you can say, I am proud that I am a student of this particular college. I'm proud of the work that I did. I'm proud of the project which I did, but with some examples. Okay. And you also need to remember that for successful interview, you cannot expect easy presence, and you are not supposed to promise what you cannot offer. And please do not accept what you do not need, and do not ask what they cannot give, what the interviewer cannot give. And let us look at what exactly the interviewers like and don't like. Interviewers like modesty and not shyness. They want their employees to be enthusiastic and energetic, not over ambitious. They want their employees to be self-confident and not arrogant. They want their employees to be assertive, not aggressive, and they want you to give short, precise answers, not long ones. And the things which they don't like is, we are not supposed to waste their precious time. That time is very precious, so let us remember it always and let us not waste that time. We should not repeat whatever we said. If you are told about, they ask a question, we give the answer. Do not repeat the same point again and again. Over talking, just limit yourself to whatever is needed and don't talk something extra out of the way. And unclear explanation, never give any sort of unclear explanation. Whatever explanation you are giving, it should be crystal clear. And too many information not needed. When they ask about a topic, you can just limit yourself to the specific question that they asked about the topic. About the same topic, you need not give too much of information. And you should not have any sort of aggressive approach, and you should never show any sort of false interest, because that will naturally come out when you, in the course of the interview, they'll be able to find out that you don't have any genuine interest in false interest. So don't show any sort. If you are not interested, please do not attend the interview. Let us look at a quick checklist, do's and don'ts. Keep a copy of your resume. Prepare using your resume, because every word, every line, whatever you put in your resume, the interviewer is going to ask questions based on that. So remember that and ensure that you are fully prepared based on the resume. And listen carefully. Whenever the interviewer is telling you something, asking a question, listen very carefully. And if you're not sure about, if you're not able to understand, you can say, sorry, I didn't get you. Could you please repeat? Or you can very well say that, could you please come again? So you should need to ask for clarification and think twice before answering. You need not jump to answer. You need not be, very, very instantaneous. No, you have to tell at the earliest, but you can gather your thoughts and then you could answer. And you need to answer only the actual question, nothing else. If you don't know a question, whatever they ask, you can very well say that I'm not sure about it. However, maybe something related, if you know, you can talk about it. Otherwise, you can very well say, I don't know. And if they are asking about some technology or something, you can very well say that, I have limited knowledge on this. However, with given a timeline, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks from now, I should be able to learn about the technology and you could also say, you could go one step ahead and say that I would also be able to do a certification. You have your, Udemy and a lot of online teaching platforms are available. So you could very well say that I would also complete a certification before taking up the job. That will give a positive. Though the company needs some technology, unfortunately, in your course curriculum that was not part of it, but still they want it. So in such a scenario, you have to do this. Also, now that you are also having a lot of free time because of this online classes, I think you should do maximum number of courses which are available on internet, and you collect maximum certifications as possible. You have, certification once you do even half an hour course, 1 hour course, 1 day course, 1 month course. There are a lot of courses, free courses available, right? So you can do them, which will really help. And you need to know what exactly you want, and you have to sell yourself. You need to identify your key selling points or unique selling points, USP. They term it as USP or unique selling point. You could also make a note. What are your strengths? And based on your strength, you can make a note with practical examples so that it's easy for you to convey during the interview. A quick checklist of don'ts. Never ever give up in trouble. If in trouble, even if you're in trouble, it's okay. It's a great experience. That's all. Even if you're in trouble, if you're not able to answer, that's fine. You should never ever give up. You should never tell lies. You should not talk too much. You should never interrupt the interviewer. And interrupt. Let me also give you one more example. Wherein, see, as human beings, whenever we do not agree with something or somebody, the moment the other person utters a few words, even before the other person completes the sentence, when you know that that particular sentence is something which you do not agree, before even the other person completing the sentence, we start with the no, right? Whenever you do not agree with the other person, we immediately interrupt the person. We say no. Please avoid it. You need to, as informed earlier, you need to have patience. Be patient enough for the other person to complete the sentence, and then you can very well, once the other person completes the sentence, it might be anybody, it might be interviewer or anybody, it might be personal life or professional life or college life, wherever you are. Allow the other person to complete, then you can very well say, I appreciate your viewpoint. However, my viewpoint is different and this is my viewpoint. This way, the other person will surely listen to you, might also agree, possible. So, and never ever lose concentration during the interview. Focus on the interviewer and focus on the points that he's telling, and focus on the questions that he's asking, and never make any unsupportable claims. When you say that, you are an expert in some, for example, some programming language, ensure that you have some supportable claims. Maybe you should have done some project for which you should have some feedback letter or a certificate from the company or from the college for that particular claim that you're making, right? Or you could have some certification which you have done, online certification, whatever. So ensure that you have, a documentary evidence for whatever you claim, and never ever presume that they know you, because as you send your resume around 2 weeks back, it is not necessary that the interviewer would have gone through your resume line by line and word by word. No, you presume that they don't know. So you have to explain fully and never be late. And let us look at the post-interview function, the best practice to be followed after the interview. You could send a follow-up letter within 48 hours of the interview. Then you could send a thank you note along with the follow-up letter. You could also put a thank you note thanking the concerned for giving an opportunity for attending the interview. And in case if during the interview they might have asked some questions, like they might have asked some clarifications for which you might not have any documentary evidence. So this is the right time for you to share them. So if you have promised that you would send them some left out information which they asked during the interview, this is the time for you to send relevant copies and documents. And after the interview, this is a good time for you to do an assessment about your performance, right? And you could work on strengthening whatever you feel are your areas of weakness or areas of improvement. And always remember, there is no interview, wherein a candidate would have answered all the questions to her satisfaction. There's always something that you feel that you might have missed out, wherein you could have given a better answer. Ironically, only these things will come to your mind. Only the answers to questions that you failed to answer during the interview rushes to your mind when you leave the interview hall. That is unfortunate, and that is reality. And continuing with post-interview functions, you need to review your own performance. like what went well in the interview, what didn't go well, and what is that? Maybe you might have said something which you thought after the interview, oh no, I should not have said that. Make a note. Similarly, you might not have said something which you felt after the interview that, oh no, I should have said that, right? So you make a note of them and use the answers as positive feedback for preparing for the next stage. Okay, and prepare yourself. You need to prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, and psychologically to get the rejection letter as well. See, you should always hope for the best. At the same time, you need to be prepared for the worst, right? As Ernest Hemingway rightly said, no, man can be defeated but not destroyed. So never ever allow your rejection to destroy you. Ultimately, by analyzing the interview, we actually learn from our mistakes, right? So it is a good opportunity for us to learn from our mistakes. And you need to be realistic. No point in getting depressed and no point in stopping preparing for the next interview, right? You have to cultivate the habit of thinking that, yes, the best is yet to come. As Dalai Lama wisely put it, he says that sometimes not getting what you want is a wonderful stroke of luck. For example, you attend an interview with 6 lakhs per annum package, and unfortunately, you didn't attend well and you didn't get selected. So, and after a couple of weeks, you get a call from a different company which is offering 10 lakhs per annum, and you do well and you get the job. So what is the inference? The inference is sometimes not getting what you want. So you wanted the job earlier. So sometimes not getting what you want was a wonderful stroke of luck. Only because of that you were able to get a 10 lakhs per annum job, right? So you will realize the truth of this statement once you get a better job opportunity, which was possible because you were not selected by the initial one, which you initially thought that was the best for you. Now let us, coming on to afterthoughts. Whenever you fail to get a job offer, you should assume that someone else has got maybe better qualification or better interview skills, right? As APJ Abdul Kalam rightly said, if you fail, never ever give up, because fail means, FAIL, fail means first attempt in learning, right? So we have to remember that each interview moves us closer to our goal, which is the job offer. So you have to consider each and every interview very seriously and understand that there is something to be learned from every interview that we are attending. As Max Dupree rightly said, we cannot become what we want to be by remaining what we are. What does it mean? See, instead of just depending upon the knowledge that you gathered during the college, it is not enough. See, if you want to come up in life, if you want to climb the corporate ladder, if you want to get promotions, if you want to get a great job, just the knowledge that you gain in the college might not be sufficient, right? So you need to go beyond, maybe do some courses, you can do some projects, you can take up some internships. So there are lots of opportunities for you, right? So we cannot become what we want to be by remaining what we are, right? Just by remaining what I am and not doing anything extra, I cannot expect, magic to happen, right? And also one more thing is that we cannot jump for a lucrative offer that you might regret offer. Maybe some sort of call center jobs. And the classic example is call center jobs, wherein the job opportunity might be huge and maybe you're getting a fat salary, etc. Think twice and you ensure that you want it, you need it, right? Because few companies exploit you by tempting you with fat, job offers initially, which sometimes prove to be very, very challenging later. So you need to choose a job that promotes your career and personal growth as well, because only such jobs will give you utmost satisfaction and will let you live a happy and healthy life. And just to summarize the top interview tips, as I told you earlier, while preparing for the interview, practice, very important. You also need to do research about the company. You need to get ready ahead of time. Being on time is nothing but, you need to be early and you need to stay calm. Maybe few of you also asked me how to stay calm. You can do your breathing exercise or pranayama every day, not only for the interview, every day you can make it a habit, which will help you in staying calm even during challenging situations. And you also need to do the follow-up after the interview, religious follow-up after the interview. Now I'm done with my session. I would be more than happy to answer any questions you have now.
Thank you, Mr. Saravana, for your excellent and comprehensive presentation. In fact, I think this presentation, one of the very few presentations, we had such a comprehensive one, which ultimately left with very, very few questions. So, but however, there are a few questions. I would like to ask them one by one, possibly,
Okay, please go ahead.
Which type of interview is better, face-to-face or online for students?
See, we cannot, during this pandemic situation, I think we do not have any other option but to have online interview. Of course, face-to-face is much better from my perspective, because by face-to-face, you can see the person, you can see the interviewer, you can have a feel of the company, you can have a feel of the environment, you can feel the vibes inside the company, right? When you have a face-to-face, which is not possible in online. So, but given the pandemic, I think we don't have any other choice but we have to choose to accept online interviews, and we need to choose to enjoy the online interview. We don't have a choice.
Okay. Are there any differences between the board of interview between selecting people for the core engineering and IT companies?
Yeah, I see. If you are an engineer and if you're a core engineer, I think it is better for you to look out for a job related to your qualification rather than jumping into a IT, right? So, according to me, I think if you are very much passionate about joining an IT company, that's a different story. But otherwise, I would strongly recommend you to for you to join a core company because I'm sure that every one of us would not like to be a fish in a big ocean, right? You would prefer to be a big fish in a small pond rather than a small fish in a big ocean, wherein your presence will never be sort of felt, and whatever efforts you took. See, because for engineering, you have taken a lot of efforts in studying the technology and studying the lot of stuff, which might go waste if you get into an IT company. But at the same time, the salary wise, maybe IT company might be more, but at the same time, there are core companies which are offering excellent salaries, particularly multinational companies. So I hope I answered.
Okay, in terms of a student perspective, but in terms of interview angle, are they looking for a different sets of skills between core engineering and
No,
IT?
they will look at, yes, they will look at specific technical skills as to whether you know the programming language, whether you have done any project on the programming language. Set aside the qualification, but they will look at the specific skills that they need in their organization for their forthcoming projects. That's what they would be concentrating on. They would be concentrating more on that than your qualification per se. Hope I answered.
Okay. Before the interview, the group discussions also become one of the criteria for selecting people. As you mentioned that earlier, some sort of pre-selection. So there also it requires some skills, soft skills are required for group
Correct.
discussion. Can you enumerate them? Group
Yeah, that's
discussion.
what. True. See, group discussion. Whenever they ask any question, when you're crystal clear about the answer, you can say that. And as I mentioned earlier, when you disagree about a point, do not interrupt, do not stop the person, allow the person to complete. Then you could share, I appreciate your perspective, however, my viewpoint is different. This way, in a group, that will clearly reflect that, you are a good team player. You have good communication skills. All these things will get reflected during group discussion.
Okay. Does high CPGA leads to rejection? What is the general trend?
Not necessarily, but however, many companies are insisting on CGPA. unless and until you do not have 8 CGPA and 80% across from 10th standard onward, they do not even allow you to attend, right? It depends from company to company. We cannot say that this is good or this is not good. It depends upon the company's policies.
So anyhow, you have listed down various items there. The academic credentials, that is one of the item your selection criteria. So high has got its own merits. Maybe some extra points may be relevant. Okay.
True,
And,
very true. Very true.
Yeah. And
See, that is applicable. That is applicable for the first round. Yeah, well, when you are joining a company, that's fine. But when you want to grow, when you climb the corporate ladder, just your mark, whatever you scored, you might be a topper in the college. That alone is not enough for you to climb the corporate ladder, right? You need something more. You need to be very good in your soft skills as well.
Yeah, that is how you behave in the company and how you lead the team and things like that.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
Yeah. And then there are interviews conducted by defense services and others, the service selection board and things like that, where they have the psychological test as one of the criteria. So, so is it one of the mandatory thing? Even nowadays, do the industries also look at that aspect, psychological aspect?
Yeah, psychological aspect is very, very important because see, any individual for that matter, they might have gone through some, some challenging times in their childhood, which might impact their job, which in turn might impact the company, right? So, of course, I think it depends upon the company, and again, it depends upon the policy that they have. So, I think it's better to have that. I should not say that we should not discourage them.
Okay, and how to handle the rude interviewer?
Okay, how to handle a rude interviewer? Very good question, I should say. Yeah, I mean, though the interviewer is rude, I mean, you have to be cool and calm. I know that it is difficult, and whenever the interviewer tells something which you do not agree, I think you should adopt the same strategy what I mentioned earlier, and it's okay. I mean, because that you never know, that interviewer might have had a great fight at home with his wife, right? You never know. So maybe you can, instead of looking at him from an angle of hatred or in negative, instead of thinking in a negative way, you can pity that interviewer, right? That's what I should say. Once the moment you look at the interviewer in a different perspective, looking at him, maybe empathy. Here again, empathy comes to picture. See, whenever sympathy is fine, but at the same time, empathy is more important. Sympathy is eye-opener, right? Oh, sad, very sad. But empathy is putting yourself in other person's shoes and looking at the situation. The same thing applies to your question as well, right? So you have to look at whatever the interview is. Maybe he's rude, or maybe look at it from his perspective. You never know. Maybe he's under tremendous pressure to recruit students, and he's not able to get. Maybe this is the 10th round he's conducting. Maybe this is the 20th set of students that he's seeing, and he has not recruited even one student. He was not able to get any students successfully, etc. So, see, you have to be empathetic. It applies everywhere in your life, personal life and professional life, even with the interviewer for that matter. So, instead of looking at him from a negative perspective, you can look from a different viewpoint. That will help you. And the moment you think like that, your behavior will change, your attitude will change, and you will cool down naturally instead of looking at him in a different way. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, there are a few questions relating to resume. Is it necessary to put all these certificates in our resume?
Necessary put what certificate? Sorry?
No, all certificates what you have earned, like a lot of courses you attend, and are they relevant, or should we add them in the resume?
Yeah, it's not necessary it's not necessary for you to add all the certificates, but you need to add the ones which are relevant to the role that you're going to take up, relevant to the job that you're planning to take up, relevant to the company. So identify them which are relevant to them. So it is not necessary that you have to use the same resume, same CV for all companies. So depending upon the industry, depending upon the company, depending upon the role, you have to fine tune a little bit. Maybe you could have one exhaustive one having everything as a master copy, and you can have sub copies wherein you fine tune it according to the need of the company, according to the role that you are planning to take up.
Okay. And in terms of domain knowledge, do they this soft skill? Do they also ask questions relating to domain knowledge during the interview?
Of course, depending upon the position, right? Depending upon the position, they will surely ask. For example, you have done a project, maybe in a healthcare industry, you have done a project. Of course, if you have done a project in the healthcare industry, you are supposed to have domain knowledge, healthcare industry, how it works, etc. Right? At least at a high level, right? So they will expect the domain knowledge. The answer is yes. Depending upon the CV, it is not depending upon anything else, depending upon the CV. And all the questions, most of the questions what the interviewer asks would be purely based on your CV update. Whatever you update in your CV, ensure that it is complete in all respects and you are clear with whatever you have put in. Hope I answered.
Okay. Sir, is it okay to ask about salary directly, or you would like to suggest? But anyhow, you answered it indirectly. Can we ask them to spell out? Is there any way that can we probe them to spell out the salary? Or
Yeah, I see. Or during the interview, when they ask you, okay, how much do you need? As I told earlier, you can very well say that as per industry standards, okay. But however, if you want them to spell out exactly the salary, you could also say at the end of the interview, I would really appreciate your sharing of package so that it will help me to decide faster, right? So, I mean, it all depends on how you put across. But I would highly recommend not to insist on the salary because salary is important, but that is not the important thing. Most important thing. That is important, but that is not the most important thing. So, I would strongly recommend you, even in case if you want to ask about salary, please do not ask in the initial stages. Of course, in the second round, when you are asked to come for the subsequent rounds, then you could ask, then you could demand, but not in the initial round. Because in the initial round, if you ask about the salary, that will send wrong signals to the company. They will think that you're more interested in the money than anything else. That should not happen, right? So,
yeah, most of the interviews at the end, they give an option to ask any questions to the interview panel. But how to get maximum benefit from that situation?
Yeah, to get maximum benefit from the from the scenario wherein the interviewer asks you what questions you have now. What you need to do is that, as I mentioned, based on the research you did about the company, based on the research you did about their financial figures, about their growth, etc. So you can ask questions related to that. 5 years from now, what exactly are our plans? And are we expanding? Do we have any plans for expansion? So you can ask relevant questions purely based on the research that you have done about the company, not some open-ended question. Please never ask any sort of open-ended question. That should be a specific question and that should be related to the company, and you should be clear in that question as well.
Okay. Are there any specific differences between the soft skills requirement between men and women? Do the interviewers look for any specific differences? Apart from, of course, the dressing and other things, we are not asking, but any specific skills level? Do they expect any?
No, with respect to soft skills, maybe, soft skills, both are same, both men and women are same and they are considered equal. So even in an interview, they will not expect anything different. But of course, being a female, usually females tend to be a little bit softer, right? With respect to job scenarios. So not necessarily, I should say. Not necessarily. There's nothing called, gender-specific soft skills. No.
And what are the differences between job interview and internship interview?
Job interview and?
Internship interview. Because nowadays internships are becoming very important. And people also, they go through the interview process. Are there any differences between internship interview and job interview?
See, in case if you want to get the internship positively, I would strongly request you to follow the same strategy which you follow for a job, so that the whoever is willing to do the internship, he would be very happy, and he would be, he would be delighted to give the internship to you, right? So I think I would request all the students, all the candidates, to treat the preparation part for the internship. Let it be similar to the one which you're doing for the interview as well, so that you fare well, and if you do good in the internship, there is a bright possibility that you would be absorbed in the same organization as well, right? So I think you have to give similar treatment, similar to whatever you're doing for interview as well, even for internship.
Okay. So basically, all along, the internship generally considered during the course period. But nowadays, with the job opportunities are declining, should we attempt for internship after the graduation instead of job and get some sort of industry exposure, or straight away look for job?
Come again, could you please repeat your question? Sorry.
No. With the normally the internships are generally done during our course, right?
Correct, absolutely.
Part of the course, like during vacation, things like that. But now the scenario is little different in terms of job opportunities. So people are getting lesser number of jobs. So which means, should we keep trying only for the job opportunity, or should we try internship and then possibly look for job opportunities?
I would strongly recommend to do an internship as well before taking up a job. Though they might pay, they might not pay. That is immaterial. See, the bottom line is you want to gain experience, you want to gain knowledge before you join any company. So if you take internship, you would come to know about the environment of any company, the challenges involved in any company. So it is always better to have some sort of experience, which would be an added factor. So suppose you are doing internship, for example, you do extremely well, and you also get a wonderful feedback. So that will surely help you to get a excellent job, maybe in a multinational company or abroad. That's a possibility. So I think it is better to do an internship as well, apart from, instead of just going for a job directly without any sort of experience. Experience always helps you to come up in your career.
Okay, there is a question related to dress code. Is the coat and tie, are they mandatory?
It's not mandatory. Coat and tie are not mandatory. Maybe you can wear formal shirt and formal trousers, and with dark color socks and dark shoes, polished shoes. So that is enough. It's not mandatory that you need to wear a suit.
Okay. And of course, there is a basic question about the nervousness and how to feel confident in facing that. See, these are certain personality traits, basically, that how to feel more confident, or how to reduce the nervousness.
Yeah.
Is it subjective or objective?
See how to avoid, the fear factor. How to be more confident. See that, as I mentioned earlier, you need to sort of practice. You need to do dry runs of your interview. Maybe you can tell your well-wishers how you are best suited for the company, and you tell them to be an interviewer. You ask them to ask questions to you. You could answer them, and that would be a good sort of practice for you. And at the same time, you could also do some breathing exercise, deep breathe. Whenever you are feeling a little bit afraid or not feeling comfortable, you can take a deep breath, and slowly you can exhale. So this will calm you down. Maybe you can every day, instead of doing only for the interview, you can make it as a practice for doing your pranayama or breathing exercises. This will naturally help you to reduce the fear of failure or not being confident, etc.
Okay, how the colleges, they help the students, in meeting the interview requirements and things like that. Like, one is the mock interview, and what are the steps the colleges take in terms of increasing the job acquiring potential of a student? Like
every
placement office, generally the placement office, it is not only they try to get the people to interview, but at the same time they help the students. So what type of assistance, the colleges are providing to
see
the students?
now almost all colleges, I should say, they have some additional papers on soft skills, right? Every course also have some paper on soft skills as well. So students need to ensure that they attend them. Most of the time, no, students feel that I know the soft skills. It's not meant for me.
Okay.
We have a railway track nearby. That's why you have this noise. Excuse me for that noise of the railway track. I mean, train is passing by now nearby. Okay, so from college perspective, no, they have, they invite their alumni, they conduct sessions. So ensure that you are able to participate. Without even participating, just by attending the college alone, classes alone is not enough, right? You have to attend the soft skill session, whatever is conducted in the colleges. You have to attend the sessions which are handled by your alumni. You could also have alumni meets. You can get in touch with your alumni who are working in large organizations, large enterprises, who are working abroad. So you have to take the initiative. You cannot just depend upon college alone. College, yes, it is a starting point, but that is not the destination, right? They help you to develop your skills, but the choice is yours to pursue how you want to pursue, how you want to develop, how you want to sharpen your skills. So no point in just depending upon college education alone. College education, yes, there is the base, there is the fundamental, there is very much needed, mandatory, yes, etc. But however, at the same time, you have to take initiative in attending whatever sort of soft skill classes or soft skill sessions or some sort of webinars which are happening within the college. They invite the industry experts. Please ensure that you attend them without fail. Please ensure that you participate in various alumni meets, etc. So which will help you, right? So you cannot just depend upon. You can just not just point fingers at college alone when you are not able to succeed in interview. So it is also in your hands, right? So you have to take the extra step as well.
Thanks, sir. And there is a question relating to on-campus and off-campus interview. Which is simpler relatively? Is it on-campus interview or off-campus interview?
Simpler. I mean, I don't know why this question comes. I mean, both are both has its pros and cons, right? See, on-campus interview, the students need not go anywhere. They can sit in their own college, and people come to your college and they conduct the interview. Off-campus, yes, you go to a job fair, but on-campus the probability is more. The probability of your getting selected is much more than your off-campus interviews. So
Yes,
both are
mainly pre-authenticated. On-campus interview is more like pre-authenticated.
correct. Yeah, on-campus interviews basically they are also initiated mostly by alumni, right?
Yes.
They are not initiated by the companies alone. See, alumni who are working in some organizations, the placement officer or the placement director, they contact the alumni and they share the technical stuff, whatever is being done in the college in terms of the courses which are being offered, which are relevant to the company, and then the alumni themselves comes to the college and alumni recommend the HR team to come to the college and they conduct campus.
Some preferential treatment is there on campus.
Of course, yes. On campus means see, off campus they are not really worried whether you are selected or not. But off campus, everybody is worried that yes, our students should get selected, and whoever is recommending the company to come down to the campus, he or she is also very much worried. Your alumni is worried. Your college management is worried. So many people are concerned for you when it is on campus. So the probability of winning in an on-campus interview is also high, naturally.
Okay, of late, we see a lot of referral recruitments take place. So in that case, these interviews, how the interviews are different, when referral recruitments take place.
See, I mean, the partiality is there everywhere in this world, right? We cannot just pinpoint only on the recruitment part. Everywhere the partiality is there. But unfortunately, I think it is better to not to go through the purely referral path. Maybe referral path could be adopted for getting to know whether any openings are there, whether any opportunities are there, etc. But it is better to go purely through referral. So, because ultimately, the expectations might not be met, right, when you are going through a referral path, because whoever is referring and whoever is recruiting and yourself, there might be a difference of opinions, difference in expectations, etc., etc. So, I would strongly recommend people to, of course, you can take a referral path, provided you are very much passionate and you have the necessary skill set and you want to go ahead.
Okay. And there's another question related to internship. Is it better to go through internship in public sector undertaking or private industry?
This purely depends upon the passion. What is your passion and what are the options available for you? Okay, right? So depending upon the passion and depending upon the opportunities available to you, which are related to your passion, then you have to decide. So if you're passionate about some industry and you have a company which is nearby, which is in your same state, which is a huge company, it might be a private company or it might be a public sector. So you have to choose. So it all depends upon your passion. I cannot say that private sector is good or public sector is good. Both are good in their own way.
Thank you, Mr. Saravana Kumar, for your wonderful presentation. Now I request Dr. Sakthivel to propose a formal vote of thanks.
Before Sakthivel tells something, I just want to share. Thank you very much, all of you, for dedicating your precious time for the sake of sitting in front of your system for attending this webinar. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and I sincerely hope that you will implement the interview skills which you have learned today. Whoever is planning to attend the interview, good luck and all the very best to come out in flying colors in your interviews. I've also given my contact details in case if you have further queries, further questions which were not addressed, you could also reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening to all of you. On behalf of the Computer Society of India Chennai chapter, Computer Society of India Coimbatore chapter, ACM Chennai chapter, and IEEE Computer Society Madras chapter, I would like to thank the today's resource person, Mr. R. Saravana Kumar, former director, Cognizant Technology Solution, for his excellent lecture on soft skill for interview success. We had a very, very good lecture, as well as we had very good interaction with participants through various questions. So I hope all the participants will benefit from this lecture. Students as well as working professionals will benefit from your lecture, sir. We thank you for your excellent presentation. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to thank Mr. P. Subramani, Chairman, CSI Coimbatore Chapter, for his support in organizing this webinar. And I would like to thank Mr. H.R. Mohan, Chairman, ACM Chennai Professional Chapter, Dr. Priya Vijay, Chairman, CSI Chennai Chapter, and Mr. P.V. Subramanian, past Chairman, CSI Chennai Chapter, and Dr. Akhila, Managing Committee Member, Computer Society of India Chennai Chapter, for their excellent support in organizing this webinar. I would like to thank all the office bearers and members of the Executive Committee of all the societies for their support in our activities. And finally, I would like to thank all the participants who have participated through this virtual platform, Google Meet, as well as YouTube channel, and for their active participation in this workshop. And we had more than 100 participants attended this webinar. So I thank all the participants, and I would like to announce our future programs which will be conducted in forthcoming days. On 7th August 2021, from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m., we have national seminar on research to publication, what researchers should know. And on 14th August 2021, we have a webinar on emerging technology and innovation in post-COVID world. And on 28th August, we have a webinar on demystifying CI and CD and DevOps. So the registration links will be sent to the participants through email, and I request all the participants to register for these programs and get benefited out of this. So I thank one and all for their active participation. Thank you, Ananda. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. SK. Excellent.
You're always welcome. Pleasure is mine.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Anything to be discussed? Anything?
Nothing, sir.
Akila, where is Priya?